These were just 2 tests because the account seemed not to be working last night. I don't believe a word Gad says about anything. I'm not reading a word more about baby reindeer at all. It's upsetting me. Gad is a psychotic nightmare. He'll say anything to make money. I've got medical equipment to return today to a clinic miles away. I wasn't going to say anything, but I got wired up to a 24-hour ECG yesterday. I need to return that. Doctors are worried if Gad the psycho carries on like this, I, as a diabetic, will have a stroke or heart attack or both. It has caused heart palpitations, high blood pressure, and high sugars. Gad's trying to kill me. Gad has always wanted me silenced. He wants me dead. He wants me dead so he can trade on this Martha Stalker thing. As for Netflix, they owe a duty of care. They shouldn't be persecuting someone like this. My friends and I have never seen anything like this. Gad is an input B. D. This Facebook stopped working last night. It's the only voice I have just night. I thought, has Gad reported me to Facebook? I actually now think it may have been a blip with the account. Who knows? We are all trying now to get me publicists. He's got agents, publicists, etc. They are all BS too. His agent used to be the bitchiest in London. Don't know if it's still her. A very manipulative J-woman, Gabby someone. I just can't read all this crap. It's soul destroying. What if I never work again? Oh no. With all of your string of successful jobs, there's no way no one would want to hire you, Fiona. I'm off for an operation. I'm off for an operation just now. People have been very, very understanding, and I'm still doing that show next week, and I'll expose the BD. I woke up on the hour every night, all night long last night with cramp in my legs and feet. I've never had that so bad before. It was so painful. Maybe he has had threats from people to dump him in a canal, but not from me. He's totally psychotic. People hate him. I just thought he was a mentally ill, ugly wee misogynist nuisance from Dundee. Oh no, he's much worse. He's a killer, making lots of money out of my misery, and I've done nothing. I only asked him 10 years ago not to tell everyone in Camden and Loveyland about the MP's wife stalker's article. He'd told everyone then. I now know that. The article is totally untrue. Was designed to not get me a Westminster seat. People hate him now. That family of his are so dysfunctional in Dundee too. I hope his mother is very proud. She's a hack F-wit too, from what I'm told. I've been logged out for 7 hours at a time, been resting and sleeping. Just wanted to say John Dingwall of the Daily Record has written 2 excellent articles with my consent today. He's actually a music journalist and thoroughly nice guy. 2 bits not correct, no. There is no police caution and Laura Walker has no interim injunction. We both tried getting them via each other. I went to the High Court for countrywide ones, Scotland and England, but she messed up hers. There was not even a hearing. She used the article she wrote in the Sunday Mail as evidence because she had no evidence. That's really twisted. A lawyer remarked on that at the time. She failed to minute for decree in absence, so there isn't even an interim injunction. She also admits in today's Record article I've been nowhere near her. Gad wants me silenced. So did she. The truth will come put, guys, particularly when I do the TV interview next week. Oh yeah, there was a lot of truth shed on the Piers Morgan interview she did. Wow, thanks Fiona for the excellent use of paragraphs. Okay, so I don't even know if I'm going to be able to read this, but I'll try. I was just exhausted today having to rebut Neil Sears on here. I'm not reading anything balloons like him right again. It's exhausting pulling lies apart. Exhausting. I did want to say though, I'm not the story here. It's not my life that should be pulled apart. Gad's lies should. This has been billed as a real-life show. It's not. Jessica, the Martha actress, was approached for comment. I'd like to know how much money she's making out of this, B, because I've not been paid a penny for being abused and having my life torn apart in the interest of balance. John had to do that. You will also note the comments that lawyer has made about any case v. Netflix. I can't talk about the grounds of action v. Richard Gadd and Netflix. I'm not impressed with any actress who colluded with them. I also think it's inaccurate to say, oh, it wasn't supposed to end up like this. He wrote the play 5 years ago, and it was an obsession with me, something to make me feel bad for whatever reason. That's why he's known as the psycho Richard Gadd. We all live in fear. PF, what hell say and do next? Oh no, look out, it's the psycho Richard Gadd. His Candom in Muswell Hill Shrinks clearly can't do a thing with him. Shrinks and Candom have a horrific reputation. I think they may have made him worse. I think hell I be on a combination of drugs that don't agree with him. Now I'll make postings longer, but all the one post. I'd not bed doing that because they kept scrubbing, but I kept getting logged out now with too many weak posts. I hope that explains matters, and I hope you enjoy the interview next week. Okay, I may get pulled apart by psycho Richard Gadd and his publicist and agent, but I don't think good people will. They have to keep pretending this is a true story. So do Netflix, because it's their ill-gotten gains. It's the money, honey. Money is their god. Only 2 bits are true. He was a jobbing, unemployed barman in the Halley Arms. Okay, how is he an unemployed barman? If he's a barman at the Halley Arms, then obviously he is, in fact, employed. He butted into a conversation with James in that bar and met me. Other staff were very nice to me. Jimmy was odd, but then he did nick 10 grand from the owner. It was a handy place for lunch when I sprained my leg. Accident-prone Fiona. It would have been more accurate if Martha had had a limp. I couldn't walk well for 2 years. Someone held open door for me in Camden. I slipped on slippy stuff they cleaned the roads with. In Camden, 3 slipped discs and a sprained leg. Couldn't walk for 6 weeks. Needed a place to eat on the flat with toilets upstairs. Not many Camden cafes like that or pubs. I liked the jukebox there. Sadly, I met the psycho Richard Gadd. It's a bit like people who are murdered bet they wish they hadn't gone into that gin joint at that time or gone to place X and Y time. Never are mind karma, the tide is turning v. psycho Richard Gadd. Now the press want to reveal his alleged abuser if indeed such a person exists. Why has his life not been turned upside down, or does he not exit? Throw a woman to the wolves but protect the GR. That doesn't sit right with me. So the press are going to disclose this R, I think, that made Richard's mental illness worse, but it was already pre-existing. Have a good night, everyone. I need someone to cook my dinner, hint hint, she says loudly. I've not been R'd like Gadd. That must be terrible. But Laura Walker, my first stalker, should never in a million years have written that article to deprive me of a Westminster seat. You either get very good people or very bad. I didn't know it was still on Google. My 2 stalkers know the games they are playing. They are being caught out. Normal, decent folk don't believe them. If Netflix believed Richard Gadd on anything now, I'd be amazed. I don't know much about Netflix, but they are hardly ethical role models here. A celebrity hairdresser is doing my hair next week. He's a good pal. He asked me for a baby reindeer for the VIP room. I said I'll ask my pal Santa at Xmas. He keeps all the reindeer. I don't have any, LOL. You've got to laugh or cry, X. Still quite cold for May outside. We were talking about this, a few of us tonight. Nice happy folk don't tear others down. Folk like Richard Gadd, Laura Walker, and Neil Sears want other S to be as miserable as them. It's totally messed up. I don't know Neil Sears' backstory, but folk have told me bits about my 2 stalkers. They have no friends now. I understand that people have been R'd, etc. Of course, they feel paranoid, untrusting, etc. But to make everyone else's life hell points to psychological flaws. Yes, Fiona, we agree. That is why we're calling you out. Life is very short, and I think this is unhappy, twisted folk wanting to make me suffer. What were my crimes? I stood up to people and went for a Westminster seat on a feminist platform. I stood up versus domestic violence. Richard Gadd confided things to me. He didn't tell me about the R, but other things I won't reveal. Then I told him not to use the stalker thing he's Googled. He then said, "You going to injunct me?" I said no, he was just young at the time, but I wanted him to stop spreading it about Camden and G Theaterland. He told me to F off, mind my own businesses, and we didn't speak again. Now this, 10 years later. If people are happy and well adjusted, as all my close pals are, they don't drag folk down. And I've got pals who have had really hard lives, some of them. That's what's so negative about these people. They get their kicks being nasty. I don't. And Camden is where nasty folk thrive. It's a hell of a rotten burr with the drinking drugs. I hated it. I don't think Richard Gadd ever lived in Camden, but I'm not sure. I did think he lived in Muswell Hill. Because of his birthday years ago, he published his Muswell Hill address on Twitter. A journalist has told me. He's never been to my home, nor I to his, but if you shun stalkers, why publish your home address? My home, though, has been ex-directory since I was 20 and first had a landline. I don't tell folk where I live apart from close pals, but these pubs in Camden are a hive of gossip. They all talk about each other and backbite. It's a horrid burst. That's why Amy Winehouse died. It's the lack of education. Richard Gadd is not highly educated or sensible. I am. I also don't take drink or drugs. One alcoholic drink and I'm asleep with a hangover for days. I can't tolerate it. So I think they can't think straight for 2 minutes and they are at their hopeless shrinks most days. They can't cope. This is like a play written by Mad Camden Shrink. They tell their patients to do this kind of thing. I know a woman very mentally ill and Camden, her shrink has her on all the wrong medication. Her shrink tells her to write books. She's not capable of writing books. This is a Camden thing. Their shrinks make them worse. Richard Gadd said that on Sophie Hagen podcast. He had been diagnosed with everything. How can you be diagnosed with everything? The NHS is really failing these folk. The woman I know, oh God, what a mess they have her in. She can't think for herself. She doses odd jobs for a friend of mine. But there are so many folk Camden failed. I like the architecture, etc., but what a badly run burr. My gran was from London. She's turning in her grave at the state of it now. So are 500 years of my English ancestors, all from Bethnal Green. But I'd say Camden is the worst burr for attacks like this. Camden breaks people. It won't break me. I wonder if the general public know how much it costs to sue newspapers, etc. You generally need a caution, i.e. insurance, to cover if you lose. You need to pay other lawyers to account up front. You are dragged through the media for years. I can do legal work myself, but who wants to represent themselves? Realistically, no one. You have big difficulty being dispassionate, and I can't be in loads of courts all at once. Richard Gadd has an agent who is a nightmare allegedly, and I think she and his team have been pushing for all this publicity for years. They don't care who they harm. Litigation is costly slow because of the pandemic backlog. There is still a 3-year backlog in most courts. I know folk who have been suing the Daily Fail for years. You need very deep pockets. No one has that money put aside. I don't know anyone who does. Okay, Johnny Depp did, but he's loaded. Yeah, except Fiona, you don't actually know Johnny Depp. You just know of Johnny Depp. It still went wrong in England. Doughty Street are vicious and nasty. Having said that, there is a cast iron case v. Richard Gadd and Netflix. We all think that. We'll see what happens. Of course it would help if I had that HS2 money through. HS2 went right through my old property. Starmer and Camden Council lied to me about the money. That's made a lot of us skint when we shouldn't be. We were lied to. The Daily Fail doesn't like skint people ridiculed. Skint people vile animals they are. People get skint cause Auth RS ripped them off Starner lies and Camden Council lies. What can you do when folk like that lie consistently? Just wait for the money. I don't think folks should be ridiculed if they are skint at any point, but then I'm not an illiterate Daily Fail reporter. Night night, don't let the bugs bite. Oh God, now I'm in the Wide Awake Club eating toast, my favorite. This is what you get when you catnap weekends. Talking of Johnny Depp, he spent thousands. I never ever thought he was a wife beater. I think Amber Heard was like Richard Gadd, a right wee user. But even though Johnny won in America, you'll get trolls out there or Dowdy Street who will still say he did it. In my opinion, he didn't. The courts don't give justice LL the time. The newspapers are fickle as hell. We've got folk like Richard Gadd crying wolf all the time. Johnny was and is a major Hollywood star. Who stood by him? Schillings did and close pals, and everyone else abused him. No wonder he wanted to live for a bit in the country and paint. Who wouldn't? It doesn't matter how much money you have with all this kind of stuff, you still get trashed. Instead of just being a domestic row, she wanted him out of Hollywood. But if he'd said that, he would have just been branded a wife beater again. You are damned if you do, damned if you don't with the fickle UK press. The Daily Fail are the worst. The whole system needs changed drastically, ASAP. Just to let you know, I won't be commenting on anything to do with Baby Reindeer the show until after I have Don E this TV appearance next week. I've still got a lot to say, obviously. It is an exclusive. Commenting on here is time consuming. I have a great many other things to do and am running behind due to this Baby Reindeer circus. I've not made a penny from it. I've been abused terribly and intimidated. I hope you'll tune in T.O. The Real Story on TV. Thank you for your patience. I was asked to do it last week, but was extremely tired because of all the intimidation. People can't take that and it makes diabetics knackered. London is an intimidating town now. Hopefully we can make it substantially better. Thanks, Fiona. Also, the TV show came to me. I did not go to it begging to be on TV like others do. I wanted to make that clear. Been wading through boxes connected to my recent house move. There were over 200 boxes. 30 still appear to be missing. That's shocking. I did not hire the contractors. Marmalade all over everything. Essential clothes missing. I have never seen such chaos. These contractors mess up everything. I've been looking through 10 clothes boxes in this living room. Essential coats are missing. I'll be checking the jewelry box now. I found it, but it's been opened as something else has been put in there. Oh great, a third party paid for the move, but there's 10 grand's worth of damage already, and that's not including the handmade bed. The bed base and carpets and curtain rails are still in the old place, so that's 3 weeks of chaos. I've never seen a move go so badly wrong. My friend has been a conveyancer 30 years solid. She's never seen anything like it either. Today I've discovered lampshades all bust up. I know roughly what was in my boxes. It's the boxes I packed at the last minute they seem to have lost, and it had to be last minute due to errors their end. They arrived an hour late, spent 3 hours skiving them, put all the wrong stuff in the storage cupboard. They put a whacking great indoor tumble dryer in the wrong place in the kitchen. We can't move that easily. Not where do you want things, Fiona? It was shut up or we are not completing the job. It's so funny that whenever Fiona does any kind of business, the businesses are always so unprofessional with her. It never fails. Now I'm finding put a whole load of folk who have been ripped off by this company paid for by the same contractor. I'd never have hired them in a million years. I'm just waiting to see if all my white goods go okay to blink. I think they damaged things deliberately, huge chunks out of desks, etc. One guy did the lifting for an hour. The other 3 skivved. They even maintained nothing was left at the old place, just all the carpets, rugs, ND a bed they broke. EN. SH, so-called workmen are the pits. They won't help a woman out. I don't go put with ink. H men because they won't lift, carry, or help a woman. That's been my experience. Do I have to add I've never seen anything like this before? The last guys who moved me were Portuguese, fine, helpful, not like this. I think certain H men really need to up their game. Huge attitude problems. Not them all, but lots of them. They just hate women. Like the man on Scooter grocery shopping today. Big wide aisles. I had a trolley. He had a bloody great scooter. That shop banned scooters. Anyway, he was ages looking at the cakes. Excuse me, can I get past? Says I, big loud voice. Wouldn't move. Fixated on the cakes, and believe me, the last thing he needed was a cake. Excuse me, says I again. Did you have to shove that trolley up my FG behind? I did not. It didn't even skife him. This is how men treat women in shops in London, and they wonder why no one will go out with them. Right back to my boxes to see what's missing. A thankless task. I mean, could they not have put up a few bloody lampshades to save me balancing on a ladder with a bad ankle? No, that would be manners, wouldn't it? Gad would be would be glad to know there is someone to hang the curtains in case some wag starts that up again, LOL. These removal guys were even moaning about my coat hangers. How can you have an aversion to coat hangers? FFS. This is right-ish my mind because I can't find them. They are not in the clothes boxes. London is getting weird with the amount of crazies in it. It's bad. Never seen it this bad. It's not just a cost of living crisis in the wars. Some folk have gone right off their heads. It's worrying. These local election results are a disaster for the Tories. I've seen bits and bobs. They need to do something because Starmer's lot couldn't run a piss up in a brewery. God help us if they get in. Just God help us. Gonna check how much Sadiq Khan won by on postal vote fraud this time. It's pretty bleak seeing Starmer gloating. I see Khan won by about 276,000 votes, and Wes Streeting was accusing Susan Hall of being an Islamophobe again. That's blatantly untrue. The Labour Party operates such gutter politics all the time. I feel sorry for her. She did her best and would have improved London. Instead, we'll have the same old Labour Party nonsense for years and years. It saddens me. London could be good, but the Labour Party have massed it a bloody dive. The thing is, Sadiq Khan has a hell of a large financial budget, but so much money is being wasted and policing is a gigantic mess. He's just not up to it. It's deeply worrying. How could you spend the bank holiday? Reading those excellent articles by John Dingwall of the Daily Record on me being persecuted by the GAD team. And me being dragged into this circus. I'll be out of town, but enjoy. He's the only journalist that's spoken any sense so far. Thanks, John. Those Daily Record articles came out on Saturday yesterday. It's Scotland's biggest selling newspaper. Or on the bank holiday, you could do relentless DIY and injure yourselves. That's a common hobby in England. Or row in the streets, that's also a common hobby. When I first moved to London, I took a long walk first bank holiday here. It should be moved back to Scotland. Then it was very pleasant till I took a seat and this couple were rowing because he'd bought the wrong packet of ham from a shop. I really did think, OMG, what kind of place have I moved into? Nice bank holiday, WW3 on the next bench. Or you could buy fish and chips wrapped up in tabloid rag, the Daily Fail paper. Allow me that one, Nighty. And just in case you didn't know, none goes to Camden anymore. The Monarch has shut. The market is for sale and has been crap for 12 years anyway. No one wants to buy it. It's some fried chicken shops, a load of drugs and crime. Professionals have been desperate to get put of Camden for years. The clubbers, youngsters go to Shoreditch and Hackney. The music scene in Camden is now pretty much non-existent. The council is crazy. The business rates are crazy. The streets have all been dug up for histo and other roadworks. It's a shambles. All major rock stars have moved out. It's frankly a mess. I'm really tired this morning and feel very sick. I had to get up at 7 to make up for lost time on this flat move, etc. And I have to be up at the crack of dawn tomorrow. This is all Richard Gadd's fault. I've had to alter the timetable and everything. These van removal guys cause chaos too. I'm sick to the back teeth of having to work everyone else's agenda in this town and losing money hand over fist. Richard Gadd causes chaos in people's lives. I'm not the only one he has done this to. His main character syndrome is overwhelming. He doesn't care if anyone else is physically sick or how much chaos he causes. I haven't seen him in years. Indy told him to leave me alone. Everyone then felt sorry for him because of this R allegation and wished him luck with the show. That tweet was traced by internet trolls. How the hell do people have time to go through other people's tweets from years ago for hours? That's a sickness in itself, isn't it? He would be better employed exposing this male R, if he even exists, and sorting out his extreme psychiatric problems so the rest of us don't have to be up at 7 on a bank holiday to sort out his problems. That last sentence should have read the problems he causes. If he didn't want me to be identified, why did he tell people he knew me and was obsessed by me? There is evidence he did this. Also, why make Martha a Scot with dark hair who was a lawyer? Loads of Scots don't come to London anymore, mainly because of psychos like Richard Gadd, I have to add. He would never have got away with all this nonsense in Scotland. Not in a million years. Why did he not make Martha the character, say, an American with blonde hair who was a hairdresser? Because he likes persecuting people, that's why. He's a sadist. Or maybe, Fiona, just maybe, if you had not stalked him in the first place, he wouldn't have made a show about you. But no, let's not take any accountability. If Richard Gadd had not attacked me so mercilessly, I would have been having a relaxing bank holiday. So all the trolls might like to have a think about that as they are relaxing, and I have a million things to do today. I think that alleged R happened long before I met him. I don't think he was psychiatrically sane before that, but that would make him worse. Someone also said to me last night, he said online somewhere he'd had COVID twice. He's obviously totally round the bend now, and I don't know what drink or drugs he's been taking too. The only thing I saw 5 years ago was the Sophie Hagen podcast with him. He said he was an addict. Addicted to what drug? I don't know. Besides, addicted to making people's life hell. Yeah, and where are all the testimonies from people testifying how Richard Gadd made their life a living hell? We don't see testimonies like that from many other people. But the funny thing is, we do have a slew of testimonies from people who you have made their life a living hell. But let's just sweep that under the rug. And as for Netflix standing by watching someone like me being persecuted, well, it's all about the money for them, eh? It's scandalous. The other thing a few of us were saying last night was Richard Gadd has never had a job. Okay, he's never had a job, but he works at the Halley Arms. Okay, make that make sense. He only worked 1 day or two. Okay, you just said he's never had a job, but on the next sentence you say he only worked 1 day. He only worked 1 day or two some weeks in the Halley Arms, working on the side and claiming benefit. He lived off his parents, as so many youngsters do sometimes, but a lot do work. He didn't. He's 34 now and has never had a proper job. He's not trained to do anything. Yeah, except write screenplays and get $1 million from Netflix. So I have a feeling when he first wrote this play, the character of Martha was a bar stool he talked to. I recall reading that 5 years ago when again it was all over BBC breaking news. A bar stool, that's weird. So did that not make the psychopath enough money, eh? So he makes up this character who is outlandish and weird and tells folk it's me. That's a horror movie. Even folk who don't know me well. Recent acquaintances. If I've confided in them about this, that's the first thing they say. That's what anyone over 45 thinks. Or did his R, if he exists, come from the Halley Arms and pester him there? I don't know any woman who's ever been accused of sexually assaulting a man in a canal, presumably the one in Camden. That's in a Netflix drama, I'm told. I don't know if in the original show. I've seen neither. He seems to be expanding and adding on bits to make more money all the time. It's all about the money, honey. He goes to the press with the same old story all the time. Do Netflix increase his paycheck for this? I don't know. The more streams it gets, the more money he makes. I don't know. Well, thank you, Netflix, for taking Richard Gadd off the unemployment benefit queue for a change, but you've made my life hell. I could understand it more if I'd done any of the things Martha did, but sorry, folks, the fact is, I didn't. I feel sick because of the stress, no doubty. Diabetics cut in also feel very sick in the mornings, but my sugars aren't bad this morning. Davey been sky high for 2 weeks because of this. Oh, you can bet your backside when he writes the sequel, Martha will be a diabetic. Or someone really suggested on here I write Martha the real story as the sequel. He said somewhere recently in the past 2 weeks, oh, I made the character so outlandish or something like that, I thought she wouldn't recognize herself. What a fraud he is. He told loads of folk he hated me, was obsessed by me, felt jilted by me, and was going to persecute me. Deep down, I've known this for 5 years when he wrote the original play, but it's forgotten he wrote it. I just saw it on BBC Breaking News 5 years ago. He has never been part of my life. I just thought he was a wee weirdo after he was so rude to me in the Holly Arms. I thought no more about it. I never in a million years expected this. When I saw in The Guardian Richard Gadd said he had been AR'd, a few of us discussed this. I initially said how sad. This explains how weird he was and how angry and confrontational all the time. It was other folks said to me we don't believe him. I genuinely don't know. If someone says I've been AR'd, I generally believe them, unless the facts are so outlandish. This Guardian article seems to appear to promote a show he'd written about the R. I think he wrote two, he said, inspired by the R, or a better phrase might be the R was the catalyst for these shows. R generally doesn't inspire folk unless they are the R, if you see what I mean. Mind you, I wouldn't put anything past Richard Gadd. We think we've seen it all, then he gets worse. None of the guys I spoke to thought Herb been AR'd. I was shocked by their responses actually. I spoke to friends and others cause I was interested in whether or not they thought he was telling the truth. To a man they all said he was lying. The woman I spoke to thought he was a weird guy. How do you know him, they said. Holly Arms, I said. Oh God, not that dump. Stay away from him. He's bad news. I said, look, I've not seen him in years, but he was bloody nasty to me. Don't worry. I won't be speaking to him again. So funny, there hasn't been one single testimony from a friend or acquaintance of yours confirming any of these details that you've been rambling on about aimlessly for the last 6 months. I've been sitting here drinking Earl Grey tea trying to wake myself up and feel less sick. I'll need to put everything back for 4 hours today. I'll probably feel a bit better by lunchtime. Some more Folkate get inconvenienced the other end. It's not good. Finally, I spoke to this G law lecturer in London. Who knows the G scene, Soho parties and all that? I'm not saying he goes to them, but I don't know about this scene. I was talking to him anyway, so I said, if welcome, your views on this. He was a word tyrant to me in the Holly Arms, obsessed by me. He said, look, we've got no evidence either way this alleged R happened. I said, would he have been on drugs at a mad party? Possibly, he said, or just really very drunk. He did have an extreme drink problem. The law lecturer was very helpful. I didn't tell the law lecturer he's Googled up this Laura Walker crap and was spreading it round the place. So why is he protecting this alleged R? Is this alleged R gonna say it didn't happen? There was stuff online about it more publicly for Gadd. I only read the first paragraph something about everyone knows who it is, IJ Theater Loveyland. Well, Theater Loveyland is a shambles anyway. I'm not part of that world. In any other workplace though, people would come forward and report it like normal human beings. Actors and actresses have their own agendas though, don't they? It's all very twisted, and as long as they are making money on the backs of others, they don't care. I've never mixed in that world had it's not honest. I see drag acts in Bournemouth don't like my latest comments. Oh, LOL. Maybe they are Gadd fans, LOL. I'm off no cue. I'm done ruminating about psychos on a bank holiday, lol. All right, so that's about it for Fiona's Facebook posts from May 4th through 6th. She has some other posts on May 9th, the day her interview with Piers Morgan aired. I may try to cover that on another video. Also, I know she recently came back to Facebook and dropped another barrage of crazy over-the-top posts before she took them all down a day later, but I did screenshot most of those, so I may try to read those on another video as well. I am also working on some other videos. I'm going to revisit Fiona's interview with Piers Morgan and point out even more lies and contradictions that were exposed after Richard Gadd revealed the many emails Fiona had sent him. So that should be quite an informative video, but it will take a while for me to finish. But I'm going to try to have it up sometime this month. Let me know in the comments if you like one long video that's like an hour or two, or prefer a series of videos that are about 20 minutes apiece. So that's about it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Thanks for watching, and God bless.